Okay, I think I'll go ahead and get started, and please let me know if you can't see my screen. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Angela Grome. I am the Marketing and Operations Manager for Travari Business Solutions, and joining me today is my partner, Gwyn Golden from Experlogix. She is the Executive CPQ Sales Director, and she's helping me present today and give an overview of Configure Price Quotes in conjunction with Dynamics CRM for manufacturing and distribution. Just let you know, we are recording this session in case you have to jump off. It'll be available for you later on. And if you do have any questions, please submit them in the chat window over here to your right. This morning's agenda introductions, which I have just done, and I'll walk you through a little bit about Travari Business Solutions and Dynamics CRM. Then I'll hand the presentation over to Gwyn, and she'll walk us all through the demonstration of CPQ for manufacturing and distribution. And then I'll conclude with a little bit about how Travari Business Solutions can help. It's likely that you've heard about Microsoft Dynamics CRM. Customer Relationship Management. Dynamics is a leader in the customer relationship management market. They have over 4 million users, 40,000 customers. Each quarter they've seen double-digit growth as well as increased online adoption. Travari Business Solutions, we're partners of Microsoft Dynamics CRM, which means we're resellers. We specialize in the small to medium business market. Typically, we see companies with 500 employees or less. We operate on the agile implementation approach, which means rapid and streamlined, a more efficient and effective way of employing faster or simpler working methods. We see common integration add-ons such as marketing automation, portal, and CPQ tools. One feature that I like to explain about Dynamics CRM is the accessibility. You can access it anywhere, anytime, on any device. For example, I'm on the East Coast right now presenting, and Gwyn is on Mountain Time presenting. We can access it on desktops, laptops, tablets, as well as cellular devices. Just to go over quickly our service area and how you can contact us, we target the San Francisco and Bay Area through Sacramento all the way through Reno and Tahoe area. You can also visit us on our website or reach out to us on our many social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And without any further delay, I'm going to make Gwyn the presenter here, and she'll walk us through our demonstration.
Great, thanks, Angela.
And thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gwyn, for joining us today. You have the floor.
Okay, perfect. So right now I am showing my dashboard, and I'll just get real quick confirmation that everybody can see it for Angela.
Yes, I can see your screen. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Great. So I'm going to go ahead and take through a couple of different examples of manufacturing as well as distributor using Experlogix CPQ within Dynamics. And what you're looking at here is a Dynamics dashboard. And what I want to let you know is that Experlogix does work in a couple different areas in Dynamics. You can actually use it within an opportunity record. You can launch it from a quote record or an order record. And for today's demonstration, we're going to focus on the quotes. So basically what we're looking at here is all of the different quotes that have been done in the past. And when you would want to start a new quote, you can just say new quote. And what that'll do is open up the new quote form. And then you can identify who this quote is going to be for. So we'll just go ahead and select customer. And if you have a specific price list that's associated for this particular quote, you can select that as well. I'm going to go ahead and give this a name. And we'll just call it new quote for a datum. And we're going to go ahead and save that record. And when you do that, you'll notice the screen refreshes. And you get some new buttons across the top of here, a couple which are Experlogix. And notice that you can, directly from the quote, be able to configure it. You can copy a quote. You can also quickly view the line items on the quote. And what we're going to do is go ahead and click on Configure. And when you do that, what happens is it launches all of the different products, services, any different product lines that you may sell. And I've got a couple different demo environments showing here. So if you wanted to configure a truck because you're a truck manufacturer, maybe you manufacture conveyors, or if you're a distributor, maybe you distribute pest supplies. I'm actually going to take you in each one of these examples so that you can get the look and feel of Experlogix as well as how it integrates back into Dynamics. So for the first example, I'm going to take you through this truck example. And one of the things that I want to point out is people use a configurator for a different reason. Sometimes they know exactly what type of product they want to configure. Maybe they need a little bit more of a guided approach. So for example, if you manufacture trucks and you're talking to your customer and they're not sure what kind of truck they need, you could actually have a guided approach where you say, well, as a sales rep, you can now start to talk to the customer to figure out what it is that they're looking for in a truck. And so in this case, you'll notice you can ask them application questions, or maybe you want to ask them vehicle characteristics. And as you start to make some selections in some of these drop-downs, you'll notice that it'll start to potentially skinny up the different choices of the different trucks that you would offer them. So based on the way that this one is configured, saying they're interested in a truck for city delivery, mostly flat terrain, less than 10,000 pounds. So now we can go ahead and say, well, we would recommend the T170 to T270, et cetera. Okay? And so this is just what we call kind of a guided selling approach. Now, you could also work with the customer if they know exactly what kind of truck they're interested in. Now this presents you with the different options. So there's basically 4 trucks that we offer, and when you make one of those selections, it loads up all of the different options, the pricing, everything that's associated with that particular truck. And I'm going to point out a couple things here. You'll notice in this example, you have categories on the left-hand side. At the bottom, you have real dating of any calculated field that's important for the sales rep to see. So if they're needing to keep track of the weight of this truck, maybe they want to see what their commission is, or if you do profit margin, maybe some currency exchanges and so forth. And in the middle are the different options that you would be offering to the customer. And you'll notice that you can have images. You can also have links to documents, or maybe a link to a video. So this gives the sales rep everything that they need at their fingertips to be able to help configure this particular truck for the customer. And you'll notice along the side here, some of these items have additional categories within them. Think of these as hyperlinks. If you wanted to get directly to the air compressor area, you can see the air compressor. If you want to go back to the base model, you can hyperlink up to that. And as you start to make some selections, you can once again be guided through the configuration process. So notice here for this particular truck, you have the ability to identify that intended service, or if you're going to be asking them, are you mostly going to be driving this on flat or hilly? And let's say that they say it's going to be a hilly terrain. When you select that, what's happened is a rule fires. And it's actually telling the sales rep to communicate to the customer. For hilly terrains, we recommend upgrading to a more powerful engine. And this is the engine that we do recommend. And if the customer thinks that's a good idea, they can just click OK. And at this point, it says, well, based on that engine's peak torque, we recommend a different transmission. Actually, it puts it in error state because the transmission that was pre-selected is no longer valid. And you can actually click on the problem category and be able to see the items that are not applicable and only see the transmissions that would work for this particular configuration. And so at this point, the user can scroll through, the sales rep can maybe offer them some different selections, they can do some searching, so if they know that there's a certain name brand that maybe they're interested in, they can go ahead and start typing in some characteristics and be able to select it from that way. Or you can also let the system pick one for them. So if the customer said, well, I'm not really sure what transmission, why don't you make a suggestion? So the sales rep could just click on the fixed errors and have the configurator pick an appropriate transmission. And so now what it's done is it removed the one that was no good, and it added one that is acceptable. So the idea is make sure that the sales rep is guided through the process, give them all of the information that they need, and now they can continue on. So they can start to add things like an air compressor. Maybe they wanted to add in some batteries. And you'll notice here, there's a little message here that says if you buy 2, you're going to save 25 bucks. So let's say that they got 2 of these. Now you'll notice that it's 250 as opposed to if they got 1 of them, 275. Okay. We'll continue down, and let's say that the customer was also interested in adding in a sleeper to this truck. And so as the sales rep offers them either the 52-inch or the 76-inch, once they make one of those selections, a couple things have happened. First of all, you'll notice off here on the side, it's actually added in some more categories. Because now that they've indicated that you want a sleeper, we have the ability to offer them some storage options, a refrigerator, some windows, doors, etc. And in the front here, it's actually doing an upsell. So some people think of this as reminders for customers to be asked those questions. So the sales rep says, hey, you know, let's make this truck a little bit more comfortable. Are you interested in a lower bunk and or a refrigerator? And if they think that's a great idea, we'll leave them marked, click OK, and now continue on. And so now with the sleeper, they can go ahead and offer again these storage options, doors, windows, etc. And as they scroll through, let's go ahead and take a look at our work screen here. Sometimes customers, maybe the sales rep is actually sitting right next to the customer and they want to be able to show them what it would look like if they got it in a different color. Maybe they want to see what it would look like with that particular 52-inch cab sleeper attached. And so what it's actually doing is rendering the image, and now you can see what it would look like with that cab. And if they wanted to add in maybe a partial fairing, then it's going to go ahead and add in that image. And so we're actually getting, you know, nice imagery to be able to show to the customer if that's important for them to see. Okay. You can also do things like cover images. So notice in this case, we're not showing until the user positions their mouse over the and so this way you can save up some screen space but still give the ability for the to see that imagery. Sometimes people want to be able to see things like quantity on hand. So in this case, when we added the CD radio, we've got another upsell message here letting them know that there's a bundle involved. And you can also see things like the quantity on hand. So if you have another system that perhaps you want to display information from, it's quite possible that Experlogix will handle that for you. So I won't go through all of these options, but I'll let you know you can do things like, you know, warranties. We'll talk a little bit about a dealer a little bit later, so I'll reserve that one, but you can do non-stock items. So if there's things that you want the ability to configure for this truck that maybe is not a standard component that you offer, you can actually just add miscellaneous items and put in your own item number. So I can call this my part 123 miscellaneous item, give it a description, give it a selling price, and continue on. You can do that as many times as you like. Okay. I'm going to talk about discounting a little bit in a moment. So at this point, let's just say that the sales rep is pretty satisfied with this quote. They've been working with the customer. They've added all of the different items, and so they can see that. You'll also have the ability to see a bill of material. And so I'm going to talk about that extensively on another example that I'm going to show. This one's got a pretty simple bill of material, but we will talk about how that can get created automatically. And when they're happy with that, they simply hit Save and Close. And what happens is it takes it back into Dynamics. And so at this point, it's actually populated all of the different line items on this particular quote, updated the total amount for this particular quote, and now they could simply come up to their either using Word templates to generate a quote output, or they can use what's called SQL reporting services to generate a quote output. We'll go ahead and just run that one. And then you'll notice at the top here, we actually have the ability to do things like cover letters. If they're wanting to show quote discounts, showing some images, maybe showing some specification documents and so forth. So let's go ahead and say we want a cover letter and a watermark. Re-review this report, and now you've got a cover letter that's to the contact person for ADATM. Because I've generated this quote, it's showing my name. You can go ahead and go to page 2. It's got those line items, nice pretty quote for you to send off when you're ready. And then, of course, you've got things like terms and conditions that you can view. And from here, send it to either a Word document or a PDF, Excel, however you want to generate that. And usually what we find is that people will send the quote to the customer and they want to consider this an active quote. So if we've already presented it to the customer, you're going to lock it down and consider it an active quote. But if the customer were to call back and say, well, I really like the looks of the quote, but I want to make some changes to it, or maybe they're asking for some discounting and that type of thing, you can go ahead and choose to revise it. And when you click on the revise button, what happens is it's actually making an exact copy of this quote. And it's giving it a new rev number. So this is now working in Rev 1. And if you wanted to, you can actually change the name of this. So I'm actually going to call it Rev 1, just so you can kind of see how this process is through. Let's get that saved. And now when they go back into Configure, it's going to recognize that a configuration already exists. And so your choices would be to either edit this configuration. You can certainly quickly view the line item, edit it, delete it, and start over. You can duplicate a configuration. You can also add another configuration. So the way I think of this one is if you were talking to a customer, and let's say that they're only interested in one truck, and we can go ahead and edit it and make those changes as necessary. It'll remember everything that was configured. But let's say that they wanted a comparison. And they said, that truck looks really good, but I'm kind of curious what it would look like if we configured it a little bit differently. And so what you could do is you can actually save yourself some time, duplicate that configuration, so you're really keeping this one the way that we originally had it. And now go in and edit the second one. And let's say that they wanted to see what it would look like if they got the 76 inch instead of the 52 inch. They can see there's a little bit of a price difference. When you select that item, the configurator is smart enough to know that, hey, if you're getting the 76, you can't have 2 cabs, 2 sleepers, so we're actually going to remove the 52 inch. And we've also got kind of a message that we're going to have to deal with here. So we'll go ahead and say OK here. And now it's actually showing you there are some storage options that are not available for the 76 inch, but you could get this particular back wall. You can add in some different sleeper windows and so forth. So let's go ahead and just say that they want a sleeper window, and come to the refrigerator, and let's actually choose the 12 volts. We'll save that. And now what's happened is you've got the 2 configurations with a little bit of a price difference, not a huge price difference, but you do have the ability now to compare them. And notice that the compare all is because you could have 2, 3, 4, 5, as many configurations as you want, and then you can pick and choose which ones you want to compare. So in this case, because we just have the 2, we're going to say compare all, and you can actually see side by side from each category what was selected and what wasn't selected. And if you just really want to focus in on those differences, here you can see one has the 52, one's got the 76, we've got some different refrigerators, one has a mattress, etc. If you needed to see additional detail, you just on the expansion there. So again, everything to keep it easy. You can print this information if you wanted to send that off to the customer, but you may just be discussing that with them verbally. They say, you know what, let's go ahead and stick with that first one that we have, so you can delete this one. If you wanted to, you can actually present a nice quote with both configurations. So notice I'm back in CRM. We'll just go ahead and run that report. And now in this case, you can see configuration 1 with its items and configuration 2 with its item. present that to the customer, and then maybe they're going to call back and want to make some changes. Okay? And so if you were to go back into Configure, and let's just remove this one. Let's go back into Edit, and let's say that they were asking some questions about pricing. And so discounting, I will let you know, discounting can be done a lot of different ways. You can discount things at line item levels or for the entire quote, or a combination of both. You can do discounting by dollar amount or percent, a markup or markdown. You can even override prices if you choose to. For this particular example, we're going to do a percent discount. And you'll notice that if you were to offer a 10% discount, it's going to go ahead and tell you what that discount dollar amount is. If you went up to a 20% discount, what happens here is it's letting you know that discounts between 15 and 25% are going to require the regional manager approval. What we've done here is we're actually enabling you to set up some logic around how you enable discounting. And in this case, it's now saying this is going to require approval, and you must provide a reason for requesting this discount. If they went up higher, let's say at 30%, that's going to require the VP of sales approval. And if they get really crazy here, do a 40%, that's going to require the district manager's approval. Let you know what that discount amount is. We might want to come in here and say this is a very competitive deal that we're trying to win. We'll save that. And what's happened now is because this requires approval, that can kick off CRM workflow, which would actually enable emailing somebody, setting up a task for them, something that lets them know this is going to have to require some action. And what I've done is I actually just have that creating a task on a dashboard. Actually, you can see it right here. So approve the quote. That just got created. And so now you can see that's for the new quote for ADATUM Rev 1. They can actually pull up this task, take a look at that quote, and determine what needs to be done for that. Okay. So go ahead and take a look at our quotes. I'm going to sort it by quote creation on date. You can see we've got that new quote that we created. You can go in and out of it as many times as you want until you decide, of course, to convert that to an order. So if we activate this quote, and now let's say that the approval has been done and so on and so forth, you can just immediately create an order from that quote. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into a couple of the other examples that I mentioned early on. Let's just say we're doing a new quote here. Save that record and configure the quote. Now, I'm going to briefly show you this conveyor example. So this is a company that manufactures these conveyors. And what's a little bit unique about these conveyors is that they are gravity driven. So if you imagine looking at these legs can be extended to be able to get it to an incline that's going to assist with the, rolling of boxes down it or whatever it is that they're doing. And these are highly configurable because they have the ability to identify, maybe how wide we need this to be, if it's going to be curved, if it's going to have any transitions to it, how long it's going to be, etc. So you'll notice that this one looks and feels different than the truck because we're not actually selecting options, we're asking questions. And these questions can be drop-downs, they can be inputs, they might be checkboxes that are yes-no questions. And what happens is the bill of material is dynamically going to be changing based on how this is configured. So notice right now, the way that this is configured by default with a 30 by 53 gate wheel type ST, etc. It's going to require 2,130 self-tapping screws, 213 staples, bolts, lock nuts, etc. It's also got a support structure involved that is going to be for the legs to be able to maintain this particular configuration. And in each one of these legs, they have all of their different calculations that are occurring. So right now, we've got this first leg set at 52 because our in-feed of this configuration is 52, but the discharge goes to 30. So it's saying, you know, we're going to incline it from 52 to 30. So by the time we get to leg 19, that's going to be at a conveyor height of 30. And as Experlogix is doing configuration, so let's just change this to an 18, and we'll change this maybe to 60. And so we're getting a message here that we have to take care of. It's now configured 21 legs. And so if we go back into the BOM view, you'll notice that we've got 21 legs that is configured, and it's going to space out all of those legs appropriately based on how it's configured. We've also got less self-tapping screws and so forth that's being configured. Now, in this case, a little bit different than the truck example, they can go through and they can, you know, make some changes to all of this information down here. We've got some dot calculations. If they wanted to add a transition, we've been getting some messages here about our truck loader calculations. So we might have to go in there and make some changes to be able to get our transition angle to where it needs to be. Okay. We can also come in and add some things like a floor track, and all of that's going to affect the configuration in the bill of material. So when you save this one, what happens is it just sends that line item, because this is a product that we need to make. So we're basically selling them the conveyor, but knowing that the bill of material that's associated to it is going to be all of these different components that we just discussed. I wanted to give you a look and feel of that one. I'm also going to take you into an example of a distributor. Go ahead and just go through and select another quote. Choose to configure. This time we'll go down into the cut side. So similar to the truck example, where once again you've got those categories on the left-hand side here. Some of the items have images, some of them don't. With distributors, often we like to think of, you know, what's really fast entry. I might have a company that's calling me up and they just need to place big orders. And they're going to be coming through and saying, hey, we need some sport mix, and we want a large golden or medium variety, we need some cat food, we need some, you know, dry dog food, etc. But customer service reps, maybe at a distributor, still need to have information at their fingertips. So similar to an inside salesperson, if they're selling some sport mix, they may want to say, hey, did you know that we actually have a promo coming on right now? The promo price is $23.40. And if we're not really sure what that, you know, promo is, at this time, you know, it changes every single day or every week. If they buy 5 cases or more, they're going to get $2 off the case. So let's go ahead and try that. 5 cases or more, if we type in 5 and tab off that field, now you'll notice that the price that it's using is $23.40. They might have promotions that actually add in items. So notice here with the adult complete cat food, in this case when they click on promo, it actually adds in a 4-pound bag. And you'll notice that it says if they purchase 5 pounds of 20-pound bag, they're going to get 10 free 4-pound bags. Wow, that's a really great deal. And so you'll notice that if we come in here and say 10 bags, for every 5, they get 10 free. So it's actually doing 20 bags free of the 4 pounds. So a lot of different configuration things that you can even do at the distributor level. You can display information. Maybe you're looking at some breakdown of this particular food. Maybe you want, again, a link to a specification document. Maybe you want to do things like have quantity breaks. So let me actually scroll down to one of these items. Here we go. If they buy 1 to 4, they're going to get it for about $39. 5 to 9, it's going to be $119, etc. So let's say we put in 11, and that's going to be using the price of 89 cents. Maybe you want to do some searching. So if we come into, I think it's my dog treats, you'll notice I'm not seeing any dog treats, but we can actually do a search. So maybe they're interested in all dog treats that have chicken. And so I'm just typing in a portion of the word, and now I can see different items that have chicken. I can go ahead and select those items, hit save, and it just brings that into the configuration. Quickly view it, see all of the components that have been selected, and save and close. Fast and easy. Brings it back into Dynamics. Okay, and so one of the key things when you have all of the data now in Dynamics CRM, you're going to have reporting capability down to the line item level. So people will start to be able to see how often are we doing either quotes or orders that have maybe, this chicken item on it, or, certain types of dog food, or maybe you're wanting to see dollar amounts and so forth. Okay. So what I've shown you so far is the ability to be able to configure highly complex configurable products directly in Dynamics. And as I mentioned again, just as a refresher, you have the ability to do it from opportunities, quotes, and orders. A lot of times for manufacturers, they actually have resellers or dealers or distributors that want the capability to maybe do self-service. So what I'm going to do is actually flip over into a portal example. So imagine, if you will, that you sell your product through a dealer or distributor channel, and you want your dealers or distributors to be able to do their own configuration. So they're going to be sitting now with their customer and configuring your product, but they're taking out the middleman. So in this case, you can enable a dealer distributor to come to a web page. I've got it looking and feeling like our web page, and so pretend, if you will, that a dealer comes in and they're going to sign in, and so they have their own sign-in information, which will then enable them to see whatever Dynamics CRM information you allow them to see. So they have their own login. Once they sign in, now they'll be able to see whatever information you want them to. So maybe you want them to be able to see knowledge-based articles or events that you're having. But where Experlogix comes into play is in the quotes and orders. So they can actually come in here and see any quotes that they've done in the past, when they've done them, what the status is of them, if they have any orders that are pending, be able to see what's going on with those. And right from this area, they can go ahead and configure either a new quote or order. If you notice here, we can configure an order, so if the customer just wants to place an order, or if we need to get a quote. And when you click on Configure New Quote, what it's doing is it's launching Experlogix again. So in this case, just have the quote for the truck. And so let's say that your dealer is working out with a customer, and they're going through and they're configuring this quote. And this is where it kind of comes into play, with dealers. Often dealers have other information that they want to be adding. Maybe they have their own local items that they want to add to this particular quote. Maybe it's important for them to see some different pricing so that they can actually see, hey, what's going to be the cost to me as different from what I'm going to charge the customer. And so you can actually expose a lot of different information to them that might be different than an internal sales rep. But the configuration is going to stay the same, right? They're going to come in here. Maybe they're going to ask for a special dealer discount request. Maybe you have certain promotions that are associated for a dealer. And they can come through and, just like we were doing before, still make some changes, offer them a different transmission. Maybe they want to get some different tires, or maybe they want to add in a warranty item. They'll still make the changes, and when they save it, two things are happening. Number one is updating the quote in the portal. So they can actually see now that this quote that we just did here is going to be processed, and that actually will show up in your CRM. So if we take a look at this and just see the name of it, come into the quote, look at our quote area, just resort that, and here it is, a portal quote It just came over into your Dynamics CRM and is listed then for this customer. Okay, and so back and forth, one of the things that you'll notice when you start putting that type of portal in place, now you have a lot more collaborative work going back and forth. You're able to see what your dealers and distributors are doing, as far as the quotes that they're doing, and if they win or lose them and so forth, you'll see all of that activity. But all done giving your dealers and distributors the ability to do their own configuration. Okay. So I ran through quite a few examples here, and I know we've got a little bit of time left, but I think what I'll do is open it up for questions before I hand it back over to Angela and see if anybody on the line has a question about what I've shown so far.
Any questions, just go ahead and type them in over in the message box, and Gwen will be happy to answer those for you. And I can go ahead and conclude from here as well. And like I said, if there's still any questions, feel free to message us. And while I'm finishing, I'll pay attention, and Gwen can also jump in and answer. So we've seen a lot of value and a lot of features with the CPQ that Gwen just showed to us. With all of that data and the features within the configure price quote, you can use all of that information and convert it into data reporting. So you can take that data and turn it into CPQ dashboards. These dashboards can provide you with information that can help you with your marketing messaging. It'll also help you with your sales and lead generation. You'll be able to see the results added from all of that information in the quotes, and then also you'll be able to do your win-loss reports right within your CPQ data dashboard. So how Travai Business Solutions comes into this, like I said, we are partners with Experlogix, and we offer selective services. How it begins with us is we'll sit down with the companies and go over your needs analysis. So we'll discuss with you and other employees from your company about what your needs are and how we can get you there. From what we discover in the needs analysis meeting, we would develop a prototype and demonstration environment that would walk you through and show you the features that we discover that you will need. Then we move on to project planning, as well as data conversion and integration, which is taking your data that's stored within your legacy systems or homegrown solutions and move that over into the newest CRM system. We'll also offer training for your employees, so that way we can make sure they know how to navigate the new software system properly and that you're utilizing all the features that you need within this new system, making sure you're getting the full value out of it. We would also then configure and customize as necessary to make sure that the gaps are met between what you want and need and what you have. Once again, this is all of the contact information that we have. This is how you can reach us, the service areas that we offer, our website, social media, and thank you so much everybody who joined us today. And Gwen, thank you so much for helping me with this presentation.
Yep, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a great day.